Live from tape, pre-recorded at our studios in Austin, Texas and Portland, Oregon, it's Syndicated with Leslie and Ben. Hey everyone, I'm the Ben of that.
And I'm the Leslie. This is a twice-monthly podcast about television, genre, and storytelling in which we watch an episode of a show and explore the history of television one episode at a time. Our guest today is Gabriel Dover, a podcast veteran who discussed video games, comic books, and all things nerd. He's also a very close and dear friend of mine, and I like to think that he's fairly intelligent. So I'm very, very, very excited to have... I'm kidding.
Joke's on you.
I love him, and I'm so excited to have him here with us today to discuss his pick.
Gabriel, welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Of course. Jumping ahead a little bit, we're going to be talking about Archer, which is a show that I have a good chunk of familiarity with it. I believe when I watched this show in college, I believe I watched up to this point or so. So I'm excited that we're covering it for this show, because this is a real unique one.
Yeah, it's a really interesting episode and point in the show, and it takes it on a really drastic turn from this point kind of forward, and that's why I wanted to pick this episode, because it's a good mix of what the show previously was, and then also what it becomes, which is something so drastically different from, I think, anything else on television right now.
Yeah, for sure, and I know we'll be getting into a lot of that later in this very episode. But in the meantime, if you're just now joining us and we're capable of listening to the last minute, we're talking about Archer, the long-running FX spy parody. Now approaching its 13th season, Archer first debuted on FX in 2009 before moving to its sister network, FXX, in 2017. The show is known for its hybrid CGI animation style that uses 3D models to replicate the look of mid-century comic book art, as well as its meta-referential and fast-paced humor style. In latter seasons, the spy premise is abandoned almost entirely, and new anthology seasons containing their own disconnected stories crop up.
All right. Yeah, Archer features the adventures of ISIS, the International Secret Intelligence Service, a seemingly private-run and definitely very short-staffed ring of international spies that employs exactly 8 people. The premise of the first 4 seasons is the Bond/Mission Impossible and Cold War pastiche that you'd expect, with the agents of ISIS tackling all sorts of espionage missions against foreign powers and competing agencies.
So ISIS.
So ISIS.
What a choice.
What a choice.
Now, to be fair, I get it. Because if I were naming a spy agency on a whim.
Just,
I mean, Secret, International, and Spy do,
it kind of works.
Yeah.
The letters I and S would come up in a lot of acronyms I would be able to think of for a spy agency.
Sure.
I just, I'm sure they all wish they hadn't picked those ones.
Well, hindsight is something.
So there are some interviews with Adam Reed out there. I forget who he was speaking to at the time, but he kind of addressed that. He's like, yeah, we kind of, blew the whole operation up at the end of season 4 because we couldn't just keep going like this.
Right.
So that's why.
Understandably that they wanted to change that. And that's something I do want to talk about as we cover the show, is its sense of continuity. How, they're not stuck in Simpson suburbia forever. They, stuff happens and stuff matters and stuff lasts. Including the dissolution of ISIS and, Lana's pregnancy, all that kind of stuff. Things carry over from season to season. But yeah, unfortunate naming with that one.
Seemingly unfortunate. I think it really worked out for them in later seasons, though. I think it was a bad choice up front, but they kind of made the most of it and really turned it into something kind of interesting.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know if it was a bad choice up front, because in 2009, real ISIS wasn't a thing.
Wasn't really a thing.
Was it?
So it was just an unfortunate choice.
Yeah,
it wasn't a bad one, necessarily.
What's a coincidence, but it sucks? Is that still a coincidence?
I think so. I think that's just a shitty coincidence.
trying to combine the words Schadenfreude and happenstance into one word.
Schadenstance.
Sure. Sure. Yeah, no, I mean, if good art comes out of, like, constraints or whatever, like, that's a hell of a constraint, is, like, you can no longer use the central premise of your show. Or art comes out of adversity or whatever.
Sure.
Like, that kind of forces them to break out of a box, so to speak. Sterling Archer, the brash and crass lead agent of ISIS, is played by H. John Benjamin. Archer is James Bond without any of the sensibilities or half of the decorum, and often gives into his most childish impulses. Which is fine, because the spy agency that he works for is run by his mom. Benjamin is also known for his work on Bob's Burgers, another Fox show in which he voices Bob Belcher, the family patriarch and fry cook.
I think we might... Are we going to cover Bob's Burgers this season? I don't know if we've decided that. Maybe a guest will decide
we have a friend of the show vying to cover it.
Nice. And I know that I know somebody who also is very, very interested in covering home movies. So this may just be like an H. John Benjamin special season.
I was going to say it would be a shame not to mention his role as Coach McGurk in home movies, because he was phenomenal on that show.
Absolutely. And I definitely am looking into the potentiality of somebody who might want to cover that show. So, anyways. Mallory Archer was played by the incomparable Jessica Walters, who we lost only last year, which surprised me to realize that was only last year. I felt like, I don't know, time is a flat circle.
Yeah.
But, what a shame. Lost real talent. Between her harsh attitude to her employees and her binge drinking, Mallory seems to be the perfect synthesis of Judi Dench's M in the recent Bond movies and Walter's own character, Lucille Bluth from Arrested Development.
I mean, that's how I got suckered into this show the first time. It's because I was an Arrested Development fan.
Oh, really?
And like my roommate at the time was like, "Yeah, Jessica Walters is just playing the same character again. If you want more Lucille Bluth content." And I was like, "Yeah, I kind of do."
What interests me about that, though, is in watching this episode, having not watched an episode of Archer in quite some time, there is such a marked difference, and voice acting is such a difficult thing, and she did such a phenomenal job with both characters, in that she embodied a live action character and then a voice acting role, and was able to convey the same tone and having to do it so differently. And I think that's really, really cool. I mean, obviously we can't say enough good things about Jessica Walters anyway, but
yeah, of course. May she rest in peace.
Yeah.
One of the interesting things about the quality of the voice acting in the show is that I am frequently falling asleep to television, and Archer is one of those shows that I listen to frequently. You can hear the actions. You can hear the body language being encapsulated there. Totally. The voice work is so phenomenal. It really evokes that imagery as well, which is something cool. you miss in a lot of animation.
Yeah.
No, I completely agree. You can hear like exasperation and strain really well. They kind of they manage to cover, especially because this is an action franchise. It's not just obviously we've correctly labeled it as adult animation and comedy, but it is an action franchise. And they are playing people who are meant to be like, running around and engaging in physical activity, which might be hard to communicate when you're just standing in a box.
Yeah.
In a recording booth instead of on a set. And I think they cover, you're right, body language and exertion really well. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You're right, she covers it so differently. Like Lucille Bluth has like a drippier quality to her. She's because she's very so much. She's so high class. What could it cost, Michael? As opposed to
right.
Mallory, who is a lot more aggressive, I guess.
Yeah, but I feel like it has to be that way because of what we were just discussing in terms of dynamics with live action versus adult animation. And so I do think that, it's so interesting that you could say, Jessica Walters can essentially play the same character, but in two vastly different ways, dependent on the medium because of her talent. Let's just talk about Jessica Walters for the rest of the episode. I'm cool with that.
Good news. We kind of are gonna.
Fantastic.
Shift in direction, but I'm here for it. Sure.
Sure. No, I mean, but that was like my friend's my friends like in was like, hey, you like that character, right? I'm like, yeah, of course I do. I'm like, great. Well, you want more of it?
Here you go.
You know, because there's still like the whole like biting. You know, obviously the alcohol. You know, she's constantly has like a glass of something in her hand.
Yeah.
But also
yeah.
like kind of like the biting disregard for her children. You know, whether it's her biological, the Bluth kids, or it's the 8 people that work at this agency. You know, she plays a good, mean matriarch. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. And obviously, I think the Judi Dench comparison kind of goes without saying.
Yeah.
Especially because that character was... When did that character start? That started in GoldenEye. So from GoldenEye to... So for like 15 years, that was M.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think hard to create that character without referencing M.
Yeah.
Yeah, up until Skyfall. Oh, longer than 15 years. Because Skyfall was like 2012.
That sounds fake, but okay.
I promise it's real.
I don't think so. It sounds fake.
GoldenEye was like 97 and Skyfall was like 2012.
All right, let's...
I know a few years disappeared in there, but that sounds really fake.
Sounds so fake. Okay.
Hold up, when did GoldenEye come out? Oh, 95. Okay,
I was about to say,
whatever.
I know it was in the 90s because, you know, of because of the game. So.
Yeah. Bum, 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 bum. Okay, cool. So, yeah, she was M for 16 years. There we go.
All right.
Lana Kane, played by comedian Aisha Tyler, is the significantly more professional counterpart to Sterling Archer. Tyler is the current host of Whose Line Is It Anyway, as well as the former co-host of the CBS show The Talk. And for a BoJack Horseman connection, Tyler voices Sextina Aquafina on the show.
Can I just say, these are all facts that I learned just this moment. I did not know any of that. That is incredible stuff.
Yeah. No, she's great. She was also, Leslie, is it CSI that you're obsessed with?
No. Wait, unless it's the one that has Ted Danson in it, and then kinda.
Okay, well, what's the crime show you're obsessed with?
Well, SVU is the one that everyone's... Well, so, I'm not obsessed with SVU. I am locked into a codependent relationship with SVU because I started watching it when it came on when I was in high school, and now I can't stop because it's still going, and so I, therefore, must continue watching it until I die or it ends, whichever happens first.
Are we trying to get to Criminal Minds? Is that what we're after here?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Criminal Minds is a great show. That's like an actual good show. You know, like SVU is not a good show. It's just a show that I'm like obligated to consume as long as they'll feed it to me. But Criminal Minds is a fantastic show. Was Aisha Tyler on that show?
Yes, she was.
All right.
Yes. And Dr. Tara Lewis.
Oh, okay.
She was also, for what it's worth, on 13 episodes of CSI.
Wow. She's
From
done quite a
2004
lot.
to 2005.
She's done quite a lot of that type of thing. But most importantly in her body of work is Sextina Aquafina.
She's great. I love when she's the guest on podcasts. Which I'm not even kidding was my primary exposure to her for a bit.
How interesting.
She is also known for hosting the super cringy, awful Ubisoft E3 press events.
Really?
If you're into the gaming world at all, yeah.
Oh, wow. Jeez. I'm glad y'all are here to educate me on the amazing body of work that Aisha Tyler has under her belt. That's fantastic.
Folks, I am largely the research wing of this show. It's a pleasure to be able to tell Leslie fun little trivia facts.
Although, to be fair, it is also fun for me to piggyback off of those facts and be like, but also, did you know XYZ? And sometimes you're like, yes.
Yeah.
And other times you're like, no.
You and I each show up to each recording session with 10 little index cards.
It's not true. You have my phone. It's the digital age. Cyril Figgis, the former accountant of ISIS turned secret agent, is voiced by Chris Parnell. Cyril, while having plenty problems of his own, is often one of the more logical voices on the show. Parnell you might recognize as Dr. Leo Spaceman from 30 Rock, which we covered last season.
Yeah.
Also, Jerry Smith of Rick and Morty fame.
Of course, right.
He plays
This
Jerry,
season.
which we covered this season. I didn't know that. We covered Rick and Morty the first episode of the season. I did not know he voiced Jerry.
Yeah, I listened to that episode and I was looking forward to drawing that connection back.
Well, thank you for doing that because neither of us did.
You're so welcome.
Honestly,
Yeah.
like, Ben, what are we even doing?
I only have 10 note cards.
There's
I
only
only
so
have
much.
so many facts I'm allowed to bring to the table before you're like, Ben, that's too many facts.
That's fine. That's fine. But thank you, Gabriel. Thank you. I'm glad.
You're welcome.
I'm glad that I now know that.
I think.
Last credit, and then we can move forward. But I want to mention this because this movie is phenomenal and overlooked. He also played Theo. I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't remember who the hell Theo is, but Walk Hard: The Dewey Cox Story,
Okay.
starring
Okay.
John C. Reilly.
Yep.
Yeah, no, I love
Such
that
a
movie.
phenomenal film, and it just deserves to be mentioned.
I honestly have never watched it and have wanted to for some time. I'm going to put that on my list
Oh,
too.
Don't do it sober.
I will.
Oh,
I
yes,
will not. I will not. I will not do it sober. I promise. I will smoke hella weed before I watch this. Walk hard.
I'm
I've
trying
got,
to remember.
like-
Who is he in that movie? He's
I
great,
have
but I'm
no
blanking.
idea.
He plays Theo.
I didn't know he was in that until just now. I'm literally like scrolling through IMDb as we speak.
I'd watch that again tonight.
Right.
No, that movie is so fucking funny.
Okay.
It's
okay.
non-habit forming, Dewey.
Well, I'm seeing a
You don't
quote.
want none of this shit.
I'm seeing a quote now that says, "Theo, you slept with me too," and I've had confused feelings about that for 10 years now. And then somebody else says,
Oh.
"You never once paid for drugs." I'll watch it. I'll watch it.
Yes. Now I remember. He is one of the band members.
There we
I think
go.
you see his dick at one point.
Do we know if it's his
Perfect.
actual dick? Do we know that?
I don't think so.
Or is it a stunt cock?
I'm pretty sure it's a stunt cock.
Okay. Stunt cock. All right.
Yeah, he is one of the members of Dewey Cox's original band. So he's like a fake Johnny Cash band member.
Got it. Got it. Okay.
I
All right.
remember now. That makes sense.
Okay.
Anyway,
All right.
Cheryl Tunt, voiced by Judy Greer, is Mallory's unhinged and mega rich personal secretary, and Pam Poovey, played by Amber Nash, is ISIS's HR representative, whose list of workplace infractions would keep her self-employed. Last but not least, the episode we watched today is Season 5, Episode 5, Southbound and Down. Mallory books Cheryl, now calling herself Charlene, a country music gig at the Traverse City Limits music venue, and the gang has only 24 hours to make it down to Texas from New York City, where the agency is based. It would have taken 36 if Archer hadn't spent so much time messing around getting cool vehicles with which to live out his Smokey and the Bandit fantasy. What results is a breakneck road trip involving plenty of cocaine.
So, first of all, I just want to say, I don't know what year season 5 of this show came out, and I'm also not familiar with when the Austin City Limits venue opened. But it makes me feel like it's been open a lot longer than I thought.
The episode would have been 2014.
Oh, geez. Okay, so that's actually, the episode's more recent than I thought. Okay. That makes sense. Yeah, so that was delightful. So, Gabriel, I have 2 questions for you. You've already answered one of them, but
Sure.
I'm going to ask it anyway because we always do this. Why did you choose Archer for us to watch? And why did you choose this episode specifically?
I chose Archer because, one, I know your secret guest for home movies, and I don't want to ruin that. And 2, because I think Archer is one of the funniest shows that I've ever seen in my life, and it's one of the most interesting. And Ben, you kind of alluded to this earlier. There's a break in this show where something happens that I won't spoil, but it kind of veers off into sort of this weird anthology series, starting in, I believe it was season 8 when Dreamland started. And it suddenly became something very different. And that's largely due to creator Adam Reed, who also voices Ray Gillette on the series. I think he just got tired of what the show was, and he said, you know what? Let's do something different. And the reason that resonates with me personally is because when I was like a wee little boy just out of high school, I was reading this webcomic called Akita by a guy named Jay Fenris Meinzer, I believe. I'm probably butchering that pronunciation, and I don't think that
Sure.
guy exists on the internet anymore, so I have no idea how to confirm that. But that comic did the same thing. He got tired of where the story was headed, didn't finish it, and relaunched a couple years later with the same characters doing a completely different premise.
Okay.
I thought that was really interesting. And to see not some random webcomic, but this like high profile, like for FXX, pretty big budget series. Like this is a big draw for them. To see them take the same risk and do kind of the same thing with that, I thought was really ballsy and really interesting.
Okay.
This episode, partially because it's from season 5, which is the season labeled Archer Vice. It's the one where they affectionately took on the Miami Vice style and really started to change the series up in pretty drastic ways. The first 4 seasons are basically just like the spy agency up to the I want to say the rise, but they never really rise. Just through the the consistency and then subsequent fall of ISIS.
Right.
And
the plateau and quick decline of.
Right. But also, Leslie and I both being based in Austin, I thought the Travis County limits connection was really fun.
It's comparable.
Also, it's comparable. I love this episode because we see Pam Poovey completely coked out of her mind, and a little bit of setup for under this for people who haven't seen it. The ISIS agency falls at the end of season 4, and it's revealed that they just are not operating legally whatsoever. They're operating as an international spy agency, completely without like any authority whatsoever.
Sure.
And they're taken down by CIA agent Christian Slater, voiced by, as you might expect, one Christian Slater.
Wow.
Cheryl somehow takes on the role of Shirlene, up-and-coming country music star. Pam gets addicted to cocaine. Archer has a run-in with Ramon, who is his ex-lover from, I believe it was season 2, and then Rudy, and they have these crazy run-ins with, like, they basically become coke dealers, but they're terrible at it.
Okay.
Despite being, in theory, some of the best spies in the world. And it's just such a wild ride.
It is a wild ride. I'll give you that.
And I love it. I love a good road trip. Even
Sure.
like going back to Family Guy, which I think you guys are probably going to skip this season just because like juggernaut status. But
yeah,
when they do the road to whatever episodes with Brian and Stewie, the road trip musical episodes, those are so good. I love that kind of shit.
always a good time with a road trip.
I absolutely get that stance from a creative standpoint of being like, I'm tiring of this premise. These people, I'm tired of being caught in the tangle of their lives. No, but like, I'm tiring of this premise. But like, these characters obviously have like lasting branding power. And they largely work as archetypes. There's like kind of like a brash and bold, like, character that is kind of what the public perception of like Captain Kirk is, even if that's not how he actually behaves in the show.
Sure.
Like there's the really kind of stuck up nerdy guy. There's the matriarch. There's you can take these archetypes and transplant them into other worlds. So why wouldn't you?
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think it's when you look back to The Simpsons when it was kind of losing its footing, for the 30 years that was occurring. Matt Groening got tired of this and said, "Hey, I'd like to do this other show instead." And we got Futurama, which is one of the greatest animated series of all time.
Amen to that.
And I think it's really telling when you give someone who is creative and passionate the runway to do that and to do what they think is going to be interesting or fun, the kind of quality you can get out of that.
Well, and I mean, that's kind of like how we got, that's kind of how we got the Orville, isn't it? Because
Right.
Seth MacFarlane was like, I don't want to do Family Guy anymore. And they're like, but money. And they were like, we'll give you anything you want if you just please keep making our Family Guy show. And he's like, I want this ridiculous ass show. And they're like, okay. And that's how we got the Orville. So yeah, it exists.
I want Star Trek with dick jokes.
Yeah. So, but what I was going to say earlier,
and honestly, don't we all?
I mean, who doesn't? What I was going to say earlier is that, speaking on someone taking an entire body of creation and plopping those characters and some of the scenarios into a completely different context. It's like, isn't that why so many people love fan fiction, though? Because that's basically what it is.
Yeah, if you have character archetypes that exist with like a certain level of like strength and density, like you can, their surrounding settings don't matter, and they can be fucking flower shop employees or Knights of the Round Table or whatever.
You know what, Ben? Ben and I were talking, Gabriel, we were talking in the last episode, I believe it was the last episode, about the lack of originality these days because everybody's doing reboots and, restarts and all these things of beloved properties. Why don't they start getting on this train and doing that, or doing like, what Archer did, and be like, yeah, we're rebooting Futurama, except it's not in space anymore. It's the Wild West now. Like, I would watch the shit out of so many of those things if they would just tweak like one thing about it, instead of just trying to cling to nostalgia by being like, nope, it's going to be great. It'll be exactly more of what you wanted, even though those things should definitely exist in a vacuum, and I'm off my soapbox.
Matt Groening kind of did do that, though.
Right.
With Disenchantment or Disenchanted, I can't remember.
Well, Disenchanted. Okay. Okay, you know what?
It doesn't always work.
It doesn't always work. It doesn't always work. Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
But it could. It could, maybe.
It could.
But they've kind of done that in the past with some of these, though. Like 21 and 22 Jump Street, they made it like this like super goofy, raunchy buddy comedy. Baywatch did the same thing, and like those films worked for me. I thought they were really funny.
That's what I'm saying.
It's largely because I think the original premise for both of those sucked.
Was garbage. So that's what I'm saying. And like, even if it didn't work necessarily for Disenchanted, he tried. Took a risk.
Yeah,
and not enough people are doing that these days. Anyway, that's enough of that. Let's talk about this episode.
Also responsible for one of the greatest success stories of all time on that front. So
that is true. So
I don't want to discredit him too harshly.
I'm not. No. I mean, the guy's a juggernaut, and like, he had one kind of mess show. Like, that's not. I'm not at all saying suddenly he's garbage and shit. Nobody should watch anything he does.
Yeah. No. By the way, to be clear, we weren't lamenting the total lack of creativity. We were rolling our eyes at how frequently networks will rely on reviving a 10, 20, 15-year-old show.
Yeah.
To be the staple of their programming and direct all their marketing money there. And
Anyway.
Yeah, like when they had Daniel Day Kim do Hawaii Five-0 a few years ago.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Who asked for that?
Literally no one.
Not Daniel Day Kim, based on some
Hello.
articles I've read.
Fair enough.
Fair enough.
That show had some issues.
All right, so let's talk about this episode of Archer and Archer the series as a whole in terms of its place in adult animation. It's quite obvious why it's considered adult animation. It's animated, and all of the content is very adult. And it's very adult in, crass, over-the-top, very blue ways. I do absolutely love that it took a different direction and that it did something innovative when a lot of adult animation shows stay stuck in time for so long. I mean, almost all of them that I can think of off the top of my head, but I'm hardly an expert. So I love that Archer did that. Taking risks. That's what I'm talking about. I absolutely love that about it. The animation style is, again, something that I feel as though the animation style is reminiscent to me of like a souped up C-Lab 2020 or something of that ilk.
It's funny you say that. I mean, wait, did you say that on purpose, or do you like...
No, it's just my opinion. Yeah, I said it on purpose.
Oh.
The purpose was it's my fucking opinion.
No, not... Oh my god, that's not what I meant.
Are we in sync, Ben? Are you about to tell me something cool?
C-Lab 2021 was created by the same animation team that would then go on to make Frisky Dingo, which is the show that was created by Adam Reed and Matt Thompson right before Archer.
Was this Titmouse? Is this Titmouse? Is it Titmouse Studios?
No, it's 70/30.
Okay, Titmouse did another one of the early Adult Swim shows.
Wow.
Okay.
No, I had no idea, Ben. You're the one who does all the research. You already said that. I was just giving my opinion. That's amazing.
All right, let me throw one of these index cards in the trash.
That's amazing. That's great. That's great. So, yeah, let's Gabriel, why don't you tell me a little bit about the, like, beyond what you've already said about this show in this episode. We usually do like favorite jokes, and we'll skip that to the end of the episode because that's usually when we do them. But is there anything else about this episode, like, other than it's ooh, that stood out to you? It's like, oh shit, that's funny. I want to talk about that.
If we want to transition more directly from one thought to another, we can talk about the animation a little more.
Okay, I mean, I'm down to do it. I just hardly feel like, I'm not an expert. I'm no expert. Yeah, Gabriel, you talk about that some more. You seem to know. Y'all go on. I'll just sit here and learn things. Put on my learning hat.
I don't have a whole lot to say on it, but I think one of the interesting things is I think you're right. It is very similar to C-Lab 2021. Aside from the reuse of the old Hanna-Barbera assets, obviously, but I think the thing that's really cool about it is and Ben alluded to this earlier, the really like bold inking outlines, like the comic book style to it. It's not like super fluid animation. They clearly are working with like a reasonable budget here, but it still really works.
The moments of like CGI technicality like really stand out. Like when something, I mean, they're all kind of 3D models, but like when something kind of reveals itself as a 3D model,
you mean
like when he
the
suddenly puts the,
You mean like when the Trans Am pulls up?
Yes. Or when they throw the car like into reverse and like spin out for a bit. Like those kind of like 3D models, you can like really tell what's happening. The art style is incredible. It obviously it's reminiscent of an era of like comic book illustration, but it's not directly parroting, not parodying.
There you go.
Any specific visual. It doesn't look like Jack Kirby art. It doesn't look like 70s DC art.
Yeah.
It's the same kind of like line work, but it's like its own unique visual style. Characters don't have like those kind of faces in like 70s comics or whatnot.
Very true.
But the design principles are still there.
Right. And I think the point about the sort of the CGI elements are really prominent as well, especially like some of the other episodes where you see like Krieger's waifu, like homemade girlfriend character. You really see the CGI standing out in that. Like it looks, I don't want to say out of place because I don't think it looks out of place, but it's very obviously like a completely different style and technique that's used there.
Totally. Yeah. The animation technique is called, I guess, or rather, maybe I can poll everyone here. What do you all know about limited animation?
Today I learned
maybe
that
more than I think I do, but I don't know the name.
Yeah, today I learned there's a style of animation called limited animation. That's what I've got.
Well, Hanna-Barbera already came up. Limited animation is basically the technique of... It's the same way that video compression works, where things that aren't moving don't change.
Okay.
So very much like, I guess I can maybe best describe it as like animation puppetry. Where like arms are like on axes. Or whatever. And like the way they're moving, like a torso might stay totally still. And then like as long as like only like the arm and face is moving, that's what's focused on. So it kind of creates an effect where, as opposed to say a fully animated Disney film in which everything is Lion King or whatever.
Sure.
Aladdin. Let's name them all. In which like the entire character model is moving and reacting and everything. This is usually frequently used for television, where it's like, if there's like a lot of people standing in one room and they're just kind of like pointing at each other, you don't need to animate from scratch full bodies every time.
Right, just the limbs or whatever.
Yeah, so it's kind of has like almost like a puppetry effect where they're
Sure.
like being marionetted around.
Yeah.
Today I learned.
So yes, I did know the technique. I did not know the name.
Yeah, me too.
You see that a lot, especially in shows like South Park. I think it's really prominent.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's been used since Hanna-Barbera, obviously, because they obviously reused a lot of their artistic assets because they were so, the productions were so cheap.
Yep.
And that's how they ended up being a staple of the 60s, was
Sure.
they produced like 30
If they
different
could
shows.
crank them out, man. Because they had a
Yeah,
bunch of
everything from-
assets they could reuse.
Yeah, everything from Wacky Races to Scooby-Doo to that one with the shark that I can never remember the name of.
Jabberjaw.
Jabberjaw. Yeah, kids are dumb. They don't care what if the whole character's moving or
Yeah.
not. The quality doesn't matter to them.
It's the same design principles that went into He-Man, with like that whole era of like Hasbro, He-Man, and She-Ra, and G.I. Joe kind of animation. Mm-hmm. It's what goes into Family Guy. It's what goes into BoJack Horseman.
Yep, it's
It
true.
is cheaper to animate television this way.
Wow, I feel like we've learned so much.
Yeah, and also, I mean, I think that's what makes Simpsons special is that it doesn't do that. Is that Simpsons is animated a little more traditionally, where it kind of looks, or at least early Simpsons does, in which it kind of feels more rough and hand drawn, and characters have like full movement instead of just kind of being puppeted. I don't think there's anything wrong with the puppeting, to be clear.
No, I don't
But it
either.
stands out when they don't do it.
Yeah.
Right.
And hell, there were sequences. For context, Leslie and I used to do a show called The Forces and Men with Leslie and Ben, in which we covered BoJack Horseman episode by episode until we stopped. Not until the show ended.
Until we stopped.
I'm familiar with ending a podcast. When you stop.
Did you just
Exactly.
stop?
And so while they use that same technique for that show, obviously, they have like, they have preset eyes. They have the preset, arms and all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. The parts that really stood out to us, and they happened maybe about twice a season or so, where things like really broke out of their character model. I mean, obviously there are moments like Stupid Piece of Shit, which are like weirdly hand, are those like, kind of manic hand-drawn moments.
Right. Different animation style entirely to convey a mood.
Yeah. But there were also like plenty of moments in that show where things would break out of the mold of just people standing in like 3/4 profile, shouting at each other, and like became like kind of more motiony and more artistic looking. That like really stood out to us. Mm-hmm. I don't think there's anything wrong with the puppeteering, but it like you kind of latch onto it when it breaks out of that mold.
Yeah, you definitely.
Yeah, there's value in that contrast.
Yeah, I agree completely.
But yeah, think of like you ever seen like a behind the scenes documentary of like how they made like Nightmare Before Christmas or whatever?
Yeah.
And you see like they got that little like cubby that has like all of Jack's different heads.
Yeah.
Or whatever. Yeah. It's that, but it's 2D.
Yeah.
That's how like limited animation works.
Yeah.
Where they have like angry face, transition to angry face,
right.
Smiling, transition to smiling.
That's
but
really
like
cool.
imagine the 2D variant of that.
Sure. Well, all right. Well, and that's limited
Anyway,
animation.
that's some facts.
some facts for you. All right. Awesome.
And I'm sure there's shows. Let's see, what have we covered so far? I'm sure Rick and Morty does that.
Sure they do.
Castlevania seems...
No, Castlevania probably does not do that.
Probably not.
No.
Yeah, but definitely Rick and Morty, and definitely probably not Futurama either. And what's the other show we got? Clone High, probably for sure.
Oh, definitely Clone High did it.
It all look animation. Animation is expensive as hell, and that's one of the ways we as a industry, even though I'm not an artist at all, we as an industry have found a way to make it significantly more affordable.
Sure.
And again, no knocks.
Yep.
Animation. That's all I had to say on that.
Animation.
Also, I love the detail in this show.
Yeah.
I love photorealistic might be the wrong word for it, but like even in that and like that opening shot of the mansion or whatever, I was like, oh yeah, that's right. This show is I haven't seen the show in like 6 years.
Oh yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah, that opening shot of the mansion, I was like, oh yeah, that's right. I forgot how intensely detailed this show is.
Yeah,
it's a gorgeous show.
It's gorgeous to watch.
Fantastic.
It really is fantastic. It's gorgeous to watch. I completely agree.
Do we want to talk about more about these characters, more about the humor of it, maybe?
Well, I definitely have
Sure.
a couple of notes, but I'm gonna wait because they're mostly favorite joke notes. So, Gabriel, what do you got to say about these characters?
So
humor?
I want to give you my favorite joke real quick. So the the fact that Pam's trucker handle is Snowball.
Yes.
The Her face through the entire latter half of the episode being covered in maybe it's cocaine. It's probably not.
Could be cupcake, could be cocaine. We don't know.
No clue. I thought that was a really nice nod. The thing I actually liked about this episode most is one, like the whole Shirlene, the desire to be kidnapped.
Yeah.
Everyone, oh, they're coming to kidnap me. They're coming to kidnap me.
Yeah.
Why would anyone kidnap you? I'm a world famous country star. No one knows who you are, but I will be.
Only
I
world
did
famous
love-
country stars go to Travis County limits.
Right.
I did love the bit of like, we're not going to do that just to enhance her career. And Mallory going, now hold on, let's.
No, let's think about this for a minute. Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah. I definitely.
What I like most about this episode is actually not the comedic aspect of it. It's the growth that you see in Pam's character.
Mm-hmm.
So Pam, over the course of the previous couple episodes, has become completely coked out. She's lost a ton of weight, and she's finally feeling confident in her body, and she's feeling loved by the people around her for the first time ever.
Mm-hmm.
And she thinks it's because she's thin. And seeing those tender moments between her and Archer, where he's like, "That's not why we like you," and to really like drive home that like people like her character. You don't see a lot of that in this show. There's very little like tenderness. There aren't a lot of moments where people are like, "No, I do care about you. Like, I know I call you a fat piece of shit all the time, but I also love you, like, dearly."
Right.
I definitely did clock to that as well, and that was something that I also appreciated about this episode. I was like, all right, okay. A little bit of feelings going on in Archer. I'm into it. Very rare, but
I'm
all
glad
right.
you said tender because I was going to say sincere, and that doesn't describe it because it was undercut immediately by the word bone throwing. But it was tender, if not
But
sincere.
it was tender, if not sincere. Yeah, for sure. All right, well, do we think we want to move on and talk about what our favorite jokes were?
Oh no, I still have plenty more.
Oh,
to
you
say
still?
about the show, so.
Okay then.
Yeah, let's talk about the continuity of the show, because obviously we talked about the fact that it switches gears to these different anthologies, but what I like about the show is that, like, consequences and actions. Again, Lana's pregnancy, Pam's weight loss, the dissolution of their company, like, all that kind of stuff, like, things stick around and things end up mattering. We've talked about, obviously, workplace comedies, and we've talked about adult animation. We've been sticking to the comedy genre by and large, with the rare exception of things like Castlevania and whatnot. But, like, largely, with the exception of things like Righteous Gemstones and whatnot, things have been sticking to the sitcom premise of, like, once the episode's over, everything goes back to a reset. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. With maybe only a handful of the things we've covered have any sort of lasting continuity. Ugly Betty, Castlevania, etc.
Rick and Morty as well. Definitely
Rick and Morty, you're right.
Some consequences and some actions on that show. But yeah, you're right. By and large, when it comes to comedies, people like to just see the, episode of the week, have a few laughs, go back to the same familiar family or workplace or whatever, and do it all over again. So to see a show that is mired in that genre of comedy do something in which their actions have consequences and results, and things happen as a result of what's happened in episodes preceding it. The continuity that's really something unique and special, I think.
Yeah. Well, one thing I like about this show is that, like, for especially as these characters' lives fall apart more and more, there is not a stasis to return to at some point. Which is why they end up going on all these extra adventures and whatnot. But, like, literally their home base is not available to them at one point.
Such a grim thing to say, but you're right.
Yeah, I think one of the one of the things that I really love is that a lot of the running gags continue through, and they're all relevant to prior plot points as well. So the one that immediately comes to mind is Archer making fun of Cyril for his ineptitude in bed with Lana, things like that. So, Lana and Cyril are dating in the early seasons of the show, and then that falls apart, and you never hear the end of it. Like, that's not something that just gets thrown away. It continues throughout, which is reminiscent of, I don't know if you guys did an episode of The Office, but in The Office where you see, Andy's relationship with Angela from kind of his early seasons, impacting his relationship with Aaron down the road. It's a really kind of, solid mirror of that effect.
Well, we didn't do The Office for the same reason that we're not doing like Simpsons or Family Guys. Basically, and so many other people have already talked about it. We don't need to. But
it's one of those things where somebody has done this better than we would. Somebody's got to have.
Somebody's already done it. We don't need to do it. We ain't got to reinvent the wheel here.
It's a little hard. Our logic is largely like, well, that's the comparison point, so we don't need to cover it on its own.
Right.
Right.
Because obviously Simpsons has probably, with the exception of the Castlevania episode, I think Simpsons has come up every single episode this season.
Every episode this season, because that's the one, man. Like, that's the one. Truly, that's the one.
Yeah.
So, and we feel...
The Office is the one, just like when we cover crime, or whatever else.
Dick's Original Recipe.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
Law and Order, Dick's Original, which by the way, it came back recently, I guess. And instead of them rebooting it, they listed it as like season 21, episode 1. Like, nope, we just took a hiatus for 20 years. Like, fuck you. This is still the same show. It was so weird.
Oh, weird.
So
I didn't
weird.
know that was on hiatus.
Neither did anybody else. They thought it was over.
Original Law and Order?
Original Recipe, yes.
Oh, weird. Okay.
So weird.
That's bizarre.
It's so weird. Anyway.
Wild.
Yeah.
Anyway, these characters have passed with each other, and I like that. I think that's important for establishing these character setups. I have a question though, then, because I didn't watch any of the anthology seasons, because I think 5, 6 around here is where I stopped. Just ran out of steam with the show. Do those histories continue on in the anthology seasons, or is everyone starting fresh in those?
They continue throughout the season, and then some of the gags, like phrasing, obviously is still there, and things like that. But the histories between the characters, it's almost weird because they acknowledge that there is history between these characters very frequently, but they don't show it. So you don't always know what history is being alluded to.
Unless you're familiar with the show, I would imagine.
Well, even if you're familiar with the show, because these latter seasons are completely... So, like, season 8 is Dreamland. It's like a 1930s, 40s, like, gangster kind of thing.
Okay.
I think season 9, I think it was 9, I could be wrong, someone on the internet will correct me, I'm sure, was Danger Island, where they're on this, like, they're stranded on an island, and they're all completely different characters.
Wow.
They're the same
no
characters.
Idea.
Yeah, it's the same characters, same voices, and usually some variation of the same name, but sometimes those have changed a little bit as well.
This is fascinating to me. I had no idea.
It's bizarre.
I'm going to have to go and watch like all of this now because I'm so intrigued.
So one problem with this show is that frequently Leslie and I will both be like, wow, I should really watch this show. But we do make this show every 2 weeks, so we don't have that kind of time.
Our list is getting longer and longer.
All of a sudden, we're like, I should watch more Futurama. I'm like, that's a lot of seasons of TV, Leslie.
Yeah.
And more on the way.
Yeah.
And more on the way.
More on the way, which we talked about. We've already talked about that, so we won't get into it again, but woof.
I think it's totally, if you find the time, it's totally worth it.
All right.
So there is like a situation where then like they're like implicit soft resets, because obviously it's a new setting, new characters, but they still have like, it's like theater where you're supposed to be able to tell when someone's doubling.
Yeah, it's very much the doubling principle. It's so without giving too much away, the premise here is that the end of season seven, Archer is shot and presumably killed.
Hell yeah.
You find out at the beginning of season eight that he is in a coma, and every season subsequent is one of Archer's dreams.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. I don't want to spoil myself on this too much. I'm pretty invested in finding out more. So I'm just gonna close this Wikipedia page and not think about it too much.
So, so the interesting thing, and the reason I'm excited about the new season is because, and I've kind of fallen off a little bit as well. So I may be wrong. This may have already happened, but I believe this new season is the one where Archer is waking up. So they're going to pull him out of the coma, and then all of that history is right back there. Like that all exists. It all happened. It's not something that they just threw away and said, "Okay, we're gonna get rid of these relationships, this prior history." It was, "Hey, we're taking a break. We're gonna do some weird shit for a little while, and then now that we're done with the weird shit, we're gonna take you back to the old stuff, and we're gonna see how Archer's time in the coma impacted, all of his former ISIS cohorts. What's been going on in their lives? How long was he in the coma? I don't know the answer to that. What's the world like, and what does he carry out of that? Like, what does he remember of that, and how does that inform his relationships with these characters?"
Sure. Wow.
We're being a little experimental with our television premises, and I think that's neat.
I agree. I think that's really neat.
Yeah, I think really even more ballsy than saying, "Hey, we're going to put our character into a coma and just do weird shit for a few seasons," is actually not just ending the show and taking him out of it and playing with that and saying, "Hey, what actually did happen?"
Mm-hmm.
I think it's really ballsy, and I think not a lot of shows have the guts to do something like that.
That's so cool.
I love it so much.
That's so cool. Yeah, that's fantastic. Thanks for picking the show, Gabriel.
Yeah, for sure. Let's hop into favorite jokes, I guess. But before we do so, I just want to say I love the kind of the meta-referential little comedy of it. Obviously, that's something that attracts me to BoJack Horseman, the show, not the character. Character's a piece of shit.
Oh,
I
thought we were talking about like furry stuff again.
Oh, no. I just meant that he's an asshole.
Sure, he is a terrible person.
But that's something that I think you and I both enjoyed quite a bit about BoJack Horseman, the kind of meta-referential kind of quick-fireness of it. Mm-hmm. I will say I like I guess BoJack does do this too. I like people inside the media not getting the joke.
Yeah.
I think a couple characters in this have jokes that bomb, which I think is really funny. The Colonel Mom Parker. Really? No one from nothing? Like that.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Where characters are allowed, characters aren't playing to an audience. They're allowed to not laugh at each other. Mm-hmm. And I find that fun.
That's awesome.
That being said, favorite jokes. Leslie, sounds like you're kind of chomping at the bit to get this one out. Go ahead.
Man, well, so I was torn because I'd listed two, and so the runner-up is definitely when Archer's talking to Pam about telling everybody that she has all that cocaine at the truck stop, and he says, not everybody, that wants cocaine is going to be is the kind of person you want to be your friend. Neither are people who need a roll of quarters to shower. Got a really, really good belly laugh out of me. But the absolute winner of jokes for me in this episode was when they're getting shot at by the rogue police from Brazos County, and Pam says, "What's ironic is that we keep driving past a gun store." And then Archer says, "Then what's satire?" Pam says, "Nobody knows." Like that was the winner. I actually think I got those mixed up and that it was the other way around. But yeah, like the well, then what's satire? Nobody knows was my favorite joke of the entire episode, because it's, yep, that's true.
Pretty ironic that what is it? It's like pretty ironic that this is the mission you forgot your gun. No, what's ironic is that every store we pass is a gun store. Then what satire? No one fucking knows.
No one knows. Yeah, that was my favorite of all, like the whole episode. That really got me.
Gabriel, how about you?
So I've already talked about some of mine. One is, I talked about this tender moment between Archer and Pam already, and so the actual quote for that is, "For what it's worth, we all kind of liked you the way you were." And Pam says, "Really?" And Archer's like, "Well, we hated you less. You kind of turned into a ginormous asshole." So I really love the way that it's like it's a tender moment, but like you said earlier, Ben, it's immediately undercut by the humor.
Yeah, yeah. They make sure that they don't go too far down that road.
Right. The other one that really lands with me, living in Texas, is they're talking about like how are we going to sell all of this cocaine once we get to Texas?
Yes.
And I believe it was Archer says, "Yeah, we're talking about Texas. Somebody somewhere wants enough cocaine to forget they live there."
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. That was a good one.
Mine is almost a throwaway line, but it's when Mallory is slapping Cyril, and it cuts to the outside of the bus as it's veering down the highway. You can just hear Cyril say, "What is that? The Pope's ring?"
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I don't know. That was like such a quick short line, but it really got me.
Yeah. No, that's a good one. It's great show, great episode, great share. Thanks, Gabriel.
I'm just going to throw in one more, which is where Mallory says, "If we miss that taping, I won't be responsible for my actions." And then Lana says, "Are you ever?"
Yeah.
That landed so hard for me because Mallory's actions throughout this series are just completely depraved and narcissistic. She's just a completely awful human being, and there are never consequences for her specifically.
See, and that's what's so great about shows that are able to do intelligent writing for the character development that they have set up. I love that because then you can just throw a seemingly throwaway joke in there, but for people who are familiar with the characters and familiar with the story, it's just like chef kiss. It's amazing.
Right.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Gabriel, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. Is there anything you want to plug? Where can people find you if you want to be found? If you don't, that's entirely understandable.
I am perfectly content in internet anonymity.
All right. I love that for you.
But thanks for having me. I really enjoyed it.
Of course.
Of course. Thank you so much for being here. I'm a social climber, though, so Ben C. Hamlin, that's BenChamlin over on Twitter and Instagram. You can also check out my other show, Parascience, an exploration of the supernatural and unquantifiable, a horror tabletop show that we do right here on the Infinity Break Network every other Tuesday. You can also check out our Twitch streams on Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, all at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time at twitch.tv/Infinity Break Gaming. Leslie, where can people find you?
As always, I can be found at Vanetti on Twitter, VANETTI, just talking a bunch of nonsense. Just, I don't really have anything important to say, but everything I have to say is very cool, and you should follow me and pay attention to it, because I'm awesome.
Totally agree. You can check out all of our work over at InfinityBreak.net, where we're telling stories our own way. If you want to support this show directly, outside of leaving a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or telling your friends about the show, you can support us directly on patreon.com/InfinityBreak, where for as little as $1 a month, you get extra behind-the-scenes content from all of our shows, syndicated with Leslie and Ben included. At the $5 a month level, you can get access to full behind-the-scenes episodes from Leslie and I. Some of our more recent ones include talking about the Righteous Gemstones, recorded back in December. New one? We should probably make a new one.
We should make a new one. We'll think about it. We'll figure it out.
We'll think about it. We'll think of a topic. I'm sure there's a topic we can cover. A television show we've both been watching.
Us?
Anyway. That's InfinityBreak.net, at InfinityBreak23 on all your social medias. Gabriel, once again, thank you so much for joining us. It was a pleasure to talk about Archer and ISIS with you.
We really enjoyed it.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Hope to have you on again in the future. Thanks so much.
All right.
Look forward to it.
See y'all later.